Let's start today by singing This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a basket, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a basket, no, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Share my light with others, yes, I'm gonna let it shine. Share my light with others, yes, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about what it means to be salt and light. In the packets you got at home from Miss Amy, I'm just drawing your attention to this right now. You have some pictures and lessons on being salt and light. There's light bulbs to color, a little salt shaker, and some other stuff in that packet as well. So keep that in mind for something to work on after our lesson today. So in Matthew 5, Jesus talks to his disciples about being salt and light. And he goes on to say that our lives should bring flavor to the world, that if salt loses its saltiness, then it's not really worth anything. So I brought along some pretzels to show you, to remind you of why salt is important. And you probably can't see it, but on all of these little pretzel sticks, there's little bits of salt. And that is part of what makes a pretzel so tasty. Now, if we took off all the salt and then we were to eat them, they would taste pretty different. In the same way, Jesus wants us to have lives that are flavorful. And what that means is that he wants our lives to be seasoned by the fruit of his Spirit, to be seasoned with love and joy and peace. And when our lives are seasoned that way, then we share that with the world around us. In the same passage in Matthew 5, Jesus also talks about being God's light, about being, he uses the example of a lamp. And I have a candle, because it's a little easier to see the example. But in Matthew 5, Jesus says, well, if you take a light, which brings light to the whole room, and it has this purpose of helping us see, and you put it under a bowl, well, can you see the light? Can you see anything at all? The light went out because it was hidden under this bowl, and when it was under the bowl, it couldn't fulfill its purpose. Jesus fills us with his light and sends us out into the world to be his light. The light that we shine is the light of God's love in us. Now, this passage in Matthew where it talks about salt and light, this isn't really the first time that God has talked to his people about that, or the first time that we see it in the Bible. God's people, the Israelites, were always called to be his light and to bring the flavor of God's goodness to the world around them. In church lately, we've been talking a lot about the prophets. And the prophets do a lot to address the ways in which God's people fail to be salt, to be flavored with God's love, and to be light, and to shine light where there is darkness and sadness and injustice. You know, God's people have always been called to be his light and to bring the flavor of God's love and goodness to the world. This was true for the Israelites as well, God's people in the Old Testament. And lately in church, we've been working our way through the minor prophets. And we've been learning about the ways that God's people have failed to be his light. The way perhaps they've hidden his light under the bowl, or maybe not allowed the flavor of God's love to be rich in their lives. But God's love and mercy are great, and he gave his people many more chances in the Old Testament, and the prophets came to call them to repentance, to bring them back to the way of God's love. And Jesus calls us to repentance and calls us back to following him and invites us to shine his light in the world and to bring the flavor of his goodness and love, so that all people, our neighbors and family, our friends far and near, until the whole world knows of God's amazing love. So friends, let your light shine. Let God's love so flavor your life that you bring flavor to all the people who you meet in your neighborhood, in your family, and wherever God takes you in this coming week. Until next time.